For most anglers, fishing with minnows involves a trip to the local bait store. However, there are advantages to using wild minnows that you collect on your own. Dave Gens has this program down to a fine art. Here's Dave and NAFC Associate Producer Dan Larson to show you how easy and effective this method can be.
Yeah, there's a lot of places where good live bait's not available, especially in the middle of the summer. Well, there's a place to fish. Usually there's a creek or a river around. You can go down and catch your own live bait.
Well, this will be a new one for me. I'm used to going to the bait store, but this looks like more fun than going to the bait store.
Well, it's amazing how efficient you can be with just a hook and a line here to catching some minnows.
Well, it looks pretty convenient. Just park the car by a bridge and stroll on down, huh?
Them are usually the best spots. The current speed picks up a little bit by the bridge, and that's what the minnows like. They like a little bit faster current.
Well, we've got a couple of little ice flies on here, and you also handed me some Maggies. That's what you tip these jigs with?
Yes, see, there's some minnows right there.
Oh yeah, pretty good little school of them.
Well, we're going to use Maggies here today for our bait, but angleworms work just fine too. I've been known to tip rocks over next to the stream and catch, get a few angleworms out from underneath of that.
Sure.
But we're just going to use, regular old fishing bait here.
Just use a single Maggie?
Well, I usually put two on, and
Yeah.
I double hook them. So I just hook them through once, and I kind of turn them around, pull it through again, so they're on there really well.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell me a little bit about this ice fly. Is this the preferred ice fly for doing this style?
Just a plain little jig head would work too, but these got a little more weight on them, so you don't need any sinkers to get them down to the bottom.
Well, these are just a little fat boy, kind of a teardrop shape with a little color on them and a small little hook. Obviously, it's got to be a small hook to hook that minnow, get in that small mouth.
These are number 12 hooks what we're using here today.
Now, as far as rods and reels go, when you're catching minnows, what are you normally jigging them up with?
Basically the same rods I'm fishing with. It's kind of what you got.
Okay.
Just a 6-foot jigging rod that works real fine.
You don't need an ultralight or real fine line or any of that stuff necessarily?
No, we're not really going for the fight here. We're going to how many
Yeah.
can we catch?
But they're not going to be line shy, and
No.
sensitivity of the rod isn't a real issue here. It's
Not at all.
Okay.
They're real aggressive. The key is we got to get them into a feeding frenzy. That's what we're going to do here, right? And we're going to catch them right in front of us.
well, they're pecking at my toes here, so I think they're ready to eat something.
I'm sure we'll catch some right here.
All right, let's see what we can do here.
Well, they're definitely in here.
Yeah, it's a pretty visual thing. This happens to be a Clearwater stream, and I can watch that little ice fly and watch the pack come chase it. And it's not a real difficult thing to do, is it?
No, it's not. You just got to, get that little lure down to the bottom.
Uh-huh.
And
Well, these
I
are
generally don't even wait for the bites. I'm just kind of
snapping it there?
snapping it, setting the hook without really feeling a bite.
Uh-huh.
If you wait for the bites, a lot of times they get your bait off. Actually, Dan, you learn a lot about river fishing by fishing these minnows, because you see how these minnows react to the current and where they live. And river fishing is current speed is what it really is.
Current speed, current breaks. And in this case, there are some natural current breaks here with rocks and some deadfall, but we're actually creating current breaks ourselves, our legs, so they're coming in right in behind our legs here.
That's right. And another trick that can catch you a lot more minnows is when you move your feet around on the bottom and rile up the bottom.
Sure.
Just kind of shuffle your feet around, and that gets the minnows feeding right in front of you.
Well, there's a few benefits to this. We got a hot summer day, and you get to cool down in a little cool stream and sight fish to bait, which is kind of a fun deal, and save all that money on the bait at the bait store as well.
And sometimes the bait's just not available in the summertime.
Sure.
And you can usually catch them in the stream.
Well, in addition to that, I know this wild bait is going to act better for those predator fish than any store-bought bait ever will. It's really going to trigger them a lot better.
Especially river minnows in a river. They know how to act in the current.
Sure.
Most of your store-bought bait is pond raised.
Dave, what's this little guy here with the black stripe on his side?
Just a common creek chub. A lot of them in most of the rivers around.
Well, he'll work, won't he?
Oh yeah, he's got fish written all over him. Here's a red-tailed chub here. These are my favorite. If I could find a creek full of these, I'd be very happy.
They're pretty hardy looking, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're fast in the water. I got one of them stone rollers on right now here, so.
I got a good shiner on here. It's a nice sizer.
Oh, that's a beauty. That even might produce a nice catfish for us.
That'd be all right too. Well, Dave, I'm anxious to see how many of these little guys we really got in here. I know we got a mess of them.
Oh, you're gonna be surprised how many we got. More than we can fish with today.
You have to show me your technique for transporting these guys. And so you give them the river water that they're used to.
Yes, it's the right temperature. That's one of the keys. You got to keep that temperature the same so you don't shock the minnows. Now we're just going to dump our minnows right in the cooler. Now we got to get some air into these things so they can stay alive. We got a lot of minnows in a pretty small area. So we just got a little aerator, a stone, kind of the same thing you'd use in an aquarium. Only this one happens to run on 12 volts. You can buy it in most of the bait and tackle stores around. They don't draw very much juice. Some of them actually run on D-cycle batteries or D-size batteries. This one happens to be 12 volt. You can see that there's a lot of bubbles.
That should keep them lively.
Well, let's get to the boat and use some of these now.
Well, Dave, I took the liberty of rigging you up as we motored upriver here.
Well, I thank you.
We've got about a, I think it's a size 4 Daiichi or X-point hook on there. It's got a little twist to the shank there too. That'll help in that hook set, and that's a real important thing, having the right hook when you're live baiting. You really got to have the right size for the bait you're using. Tell me a little bit more about these sinkers you're utilizing up here on the river.
I use a 3/8 ounce pinch grip sinker, and that 3/8 ounce weight allows me to fish in the right current speed. And I look for where I can get that down to the bottom so I can fish it nicely. There you go, grab one of them minnows.
These guys look familiar.
Well, this is definitely fresh live bait. Well, these lips on these minnows are really tough, so you don't have to hook them real deep, and you want them to live well, so you just barely hook them. You want the most hook exposed that you can. Boy,
It's like a
come right at
solid
me there
fish.
for a while. Always thick and drag.
I got his brother here.
It's all right, I can't get him.
Nice fish. This is a good one here, Dave.
It's all right, I still ain't got this one in the boat. Oh, I made it.
Real nice fish here. Looks like 20-inch class fish.
Oh yeah.
Nice fish.
Oh, I got wet glasses now. He almost jumped in the boat.
Here, I'll get his head up once he's done. He's not done quite yet. Got him?
Yeah.
All right, thank you,
There's
sir.
a trophy fish for you.
What a beaut.
Let me get mine out of here.
Well, I'd say that live bait on the river really works well, doesn't it?
Sure does, don't it? Can't beat that. A couple of really nice smallies.
Well, that's the first time I've gone out and caught my own minnows, but I guarantee it's not going to be the last.